Okay, so we need to set up the session here, and we need to get all these faders and everything lined up so that you can basically just input the plugins and then insert my presets. So in order to have everything lined up, first of all, you don't need to worry about the gain staging. You don't have to trim any of the sounds. I've done all that stuff for you. So once you load in the tracks, so I've taken off the automation, which you may have noticed, except for this. I'll explain this in the one. You'll see it in part 3, I think. But yeah. So all you got to do is just go to the directory wherever you save the files for the tracks, and then just load them in one by one. So I suggest you do in order. So the first track, have it up as the guitar. Second one, have as the cello. Then the vocal 2, high vocal, and then the harmony. So once you do that, then you got to load up all the plugins. So if you just watch each part of the video, it'll explain plugin by plugin what I used. All you got to do is go to the directory wherever you save the plugins and load each one at a time. And when you load each plugin, put them in the exact same order that you see me do them in the video. Now again, this is if you want to follow what I did to the T. So I'll do an example. For instance, the guitar, the preamplifier, that's number 1, so that should be the first plugin. Second one will be this dynamic EQ, then this equalizer, and then this compressor, and I use it as a limiter, but it's actually a compressor. So that's the order of the chain that you want to be in. You want all the tracks to follow suit. So now that we've done that, now we got to find our preset. So you'll have another file where I've saved all your presets, and what I've done is actually I've even subfoldered all the presets. So all the presets are labeled. So for instance, the guitar, you'll see a folder that says guitar, and that'll have all the presets for all the plugins in there. Then you have the cello, then you have the vocal, and so on. And I've even done it for the buses as well, or the auxes. So everything's labeled, so there shouldn't be any confusion there whatsoever. So for instance, we want to load up our preset. So let me just mess all this up. I'm like, okay, so now I want to get the preset. So this is in Sonar. I'm not sure how it works in other programs, but there'll be something, I'm sure, similar. So I would just click on the VST, load preset, go to the folder to where I saved the preset, and then this would be guitar. And I've even labeled them 1. So 1's guitar, 2's cello, 3's vocal, and it's all in order of how I set up these faders here. Even the master fader, which would actually be number 7, that's labeled number 7, and then the room, wide. So everything's all in order for you. So all you got to do is go to the first one, guitar, and then the plugin that I use is the 1968. You'll see the preset here. Just double click it and load it up, and you can see all the faders return back to how I originally had them. I'll do something a little bit more easy to see. So I'll just mess this up. Do this, do that. Now I'll go into my presets, and this was the M equalizer. Double click it, and boom, the presets loaded up. Okay, so now we got all the presets. We'll just pretend that you've loaded up all the presets. Well, I guess you probably should have done this before, but whatever. Now we got to send stuff to the buses. You got to create some auxes here. So for the guitar, you're going to send the guitar to the room fader, which is right here. If I want to create a new one, I just go new stereo bus. I would just label it room. You don't have to color code it, and then I would just move it to the front, wherever this room is. I'm going to delete this for now, so I'll just pretend that I did that. So now I set this up pre-fader. So what's happening is the send is sending the signal to this aux bus previous to going to this fader here on the guitar. So as I move this fader up and down, it's not affecting this send whatsoever. So you want to make sure that your stuff is set up to pre-fader. So we got that sent. The next one, the cello, I created a bus called wide. send that to wide, pre-fader again, and just set your send level to 0. For the vocal, I sent it to the room, which is used on the guitar, and I have it set at negative 29.2 decibels. And again, that's everything on here is pre-fader. I don't even want to say pre-fader again because I'm going to keep repeating myself. So just send everything pre-fader when you set your buses up. And then I got the vocal going to the delay. That's set up to 0 dBs. And then also the hall. It's going to the hall. That's negative 3.3, the send level. Now over to vocal 2. Room, negative 28.7. The delay, the send level's at 0. The hall, same thing with this one, negative 3.3. The high vocal, again, this one's going to the room. It's negative 17.8. It's going to another bus called the Vox, which is the parallel compression. That's set to 0, pre-fader again. Sent to the hall, negative 0.2. And that's it for that one. And also the harmonies, I sent those ones to the hall, and that's negative 3.1. So now we're done that. We want to set all these faders up so that they're basically the same level as mine. So obviously the master fader is going to be 0, but in Sonar it allows me to double click this and I can set this. You can see this one's at negative 6.9. So if this is at 0, what I can do is I can just double click it, type in negative 6.9, and it'll set my fader up for me. And it's not doing it. Let's try that again. Alright. There we go. So, we do that for all the faders. The cello's at negative 7.3. Vocals are at negative 8. Vocal 2 is negative 7.3. High vocals negative 4.1. Harmony is at negative 17.2. Over to the aux. Negative 7.4 for the room. Negative 9.6 for the wide. Which is basically a reverb, but I started making something wide and then I ended up turning it to a reverb, so I just left it. Then the Vox is negative 30.9, delay is negative 29.6, and then the hall is negative 25.4. So that's about it. So just make sure you have all this stuff set up, and then once you load the plugins and you load the presets, everything else should line up and should fall into place. And then, so these are my starting levels. All these faders here are my starting levels, and then I did a little bit of automation on some of the tracks, so I will show that, but those are the starting levels, and then with the automation, you can edit all that stuff later. So that's basically it. If I missed something or you're confused, just send me a message. Preferably leave it in the comments. It's easier for me to address them there, and then if anybody else has problems that are similar, I'm not having to answer the same question, 10, 20 times. Well, hopefully it's, 10, 20 times, because hopefully enough people will like the video, but you know what I'm trying to say. I don't want to have to try to, repeat myself too many times. So if I can make my life easier, then that's all gravy. So anyways, enjoy the videos, and leave some comments, leave some feedbacks. Let me know. Let me know if there's anything that you want me to, potentially put out in the future. Whatever. I'm up to anything, suggestions, feedback, whatever. All right, enjoy.